Good afternoon. It is Tuesday afternoon, the 22nd of September, and I would, as usual, like to go over a little bit what you worked on last week and try to give you a feel for how it's going to fit into what you're doing this week. And there are two topics here going on that are very related, and as I've tried to explain in several ways, several times, that you'll notice that things do build on each other and things do fit together. So last week we looked at a couple of very different things. Particularly, I am in the process of going through the discussions just before I came on to do this, and I will continue afterwards. And it is the one about the design firm IDEO, and IDEO has been around for a long time. And I always predict this every time the course comes up and that we do this discussion. Everybody seems to fall in love with IDEO. Oh, this is the place I want to work. This is the place I want to be. This sounds like so much fun. But is really the idea of what IDEO is doing to have fun? Or is it to create value? And that's the one thing I want us to keep in mind. This in IDEO, the discussion, the video series was all about illustrating how a culture develops and how a structure develops around that. And also, it's possible, I think, for you to see that there can be a structure that develops a culture. So it can go both ways. It is very much up to the leadership and the membership of the organization as to which way it will go and what does contribute to the overall goals. And again, that goal is what I will still call creating value. Right? Now, value can take many forms. Mostly in business, when we talk about value, we think about financial value, right? We think about money. We think about being profitable. We think about being efficient. We think about being effective. But also there are a lot of other considerations, subjective considerations that come into that word, and it takes into account many different things. You know, how do people perceive our organization? How does this affect our ability to attract talented people? How about to retain talented people? How about to appeal to customers? All these kind of things have the word value attached to them. So the things that we looked at last week are starting to go in and say, well, how do we generate value? Well, this week we're going to move into a little different concept, and that's of technology. Okay, now here it is in 2020, and when we say technology, immediately most people, I'm going to go out on a limb and make a blanket statement and say most people start thinking of something to do with a computer, right? Something to do with one of these, right? A tablet. And they think of technology being the software and the applications being behind them. You know, we talk about the technology companies, and we start talking about Google and Facebook and Amazon, and you know that's the word we use to describe them, to kind of lump them all together. But what if we really looked at what they do? Is Amazon a technology company, or is it a delivery company? Well, you say, well, that's FedEx. That FedEx is the one that delivers. Well, Amazon does some of its own delivery. No, what do they create? How do they create value? Right? Product. What's their product? What's Facebook's product? An interesting question, right? What's Twitter's product? What is Google's product? Well, all these firms have one thing in common, and again, that's value creation. Just like if you looked at, some of you folks have chosen to look at companies in your ongoing analysis, like General Motors and Ford. You'd say, well, what's their product? Cars. Oh, really? Is it mobility? Is it transport? These are the kind of questions you want to ask. And this week we'll look at it in kind of a different way. The discussion is going to be very interesting. It's about kind of a ubiquitous organization out there. Starbucks, there seems like there's one on every corner. So when we talk about technology here, remember it's in that definition of anything that helps you create value. And we look at it as input, throughput, and output. This is what we look at. So technology doesn't have to be a smartphone. Technology can be a hammer. right? Technology can be a horse, literally, okay? Technology is things that go through that pattern: input, throughput, output, and creating value. And the one thing I want to caution people against in this unit, it's going to talk about, and we've touched on it just slightly, but now it's going to be of more importance when we look at the subject matter, is this whole idea of core competency. And I will allow the reading and the resources to do the full explanation of core competency for me. I have my views on it, and they're pretty much in line with what you're going to read, and I will be commenting on it further later. But core competency, break it down into the two words. And one thing I say, it's not like I'm telling you not to do something, it's just something from having taught this course so many times. Be careful when you are looking at that term core competency, and do not confuse it with the term core values. Okay? And also don't confuse the term values with the term value. Now, these are all highly related but distinctly different things. And how you treat them and how you look at them is going to make a big difference. All right? So this week, keep it in mind, it's more about core competency and how we do things. Literally, now we're talking about how we do things, and then what are the implications on how are we organized to do things, right? And produce value. Came back to it again, didn't I? So again, that's really it in a nutshell. Excuse me. Now, the discussions are getting better. I think everybody's had some sort of comment from me over the past couple of weeks. Again, I apologize maybe for not getting to everybody. I have spent more time than I wanted to in the past. In the past 6 weeks, I've probably had more medical appointments than I've had in the past 6 years. It just seemed that everything I've had to deal with, and none of it's serious, and one of them was threatening, and that seems to have passed. So I am back, I think, on a regular schedule. So I thank everybody for putting up with my being a little late for the last couple of weeks and getting grades done. But again, my targets are discussions by Tuesday night, papers by Wednesday night. And I think this week we're going to be able to keep that schedule pretty well. Several of you have contacted me outside of the course with various questions, whether about procedure or some even about how do you want to approach something. That's great. I'm accessible. I try to get back to you as soon as I can. The one thing I would ask people to do again is remember, if you have a question maybe that's got something to do procedurally with the course, whether what do we do, how do we do something, and it might be something that could help everybody, that's the kind of one you want to use the Ask the Instructor discussion board, because then if I answer you there, it's available for all to see. So that's just a little quick procedural reminder. I am overall pleased with the way things are going. The discussions are lively. We got up to about 100 entries last week, which is really good, because it hasn't followed to that drop-off point yet. And that's something I usually see happen, and it's natural. I understand it. So anyway, thank you for listening today, and keep in mind those things I said about what to look for in Unit 4 in particular. You'll see how it is related to what's gone before, and how we are attempting to layer one thing on top of another in order to build the entire picture of organization development and how it builds value. Okay, thank you very much.